Hey folks, Todd here. Today we're going to install the Husky Liners OE style fender flares on this 2024 Ford F-150. The tools we'll be using for this installation are a ratchet with 7mm socket, a Phillips head screwdriver, a pick tool, a flashlight, scissors, permanent marker, and a 1/4" Phillips bit with a 1/4" wrench. Let's go ahead and get started. All right, so here I am at our flare. Now again, this is our left front flare. We're gonna be doing the exact same process to all the other flares. I'm gonna show you here, just repeat it on the other flares. So this is the portion that's gonna touch your paint. So this is the portion where we need to have our isolator. This is a protector that is gonna protect that edge to keep it from vibrating against your paint. So what we're gonna do is flip this around. Now this inside edge that's going to be touching the paint, we want to go ahead and clean that off first with some isopropyl alcohol. And we're just cleaning up the inside edge. It's not really necessary to clean the outside edge because that's not what our adhesive is going to be attaching to. All right, next we're going to pick one side to work from, and we're going to find our trim. The edge trim is going to be going around this portion, kind of like a horseshoe shape, right? So whenever we set it in place, it's easier if you kind of pinch it a little bit to spread it apart, to set it in place, and then allow it to grip around it. We want to have full contact of the adhesive to that inside edge that we just cleaned off with some alcohol. So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of peel back a few inches and kind of set that off to the side. We want it to set to the inside. We're going to spread that apart and go all the way to the edge and push down, set it in place. Once it's in place, go ahead and set the adhesive to the side. Next, what we're going to do before we peel any more out, we're going to spread it apart and go about 6 inches at a time. Where we set it in place, hold it down, and then peel the adhesive away. And then we can set it just like so. We're going to work it all the way around to the other side. Once we get to the end, we're going to go ahead and take a pair of scissors, cut that in place. All right, we'll go ahead and peel out our last bit of adhesive. Hold that in place while we set the adhesive. It's the exact same way you're going to do it the other 3 flares. Okay, so before we get started, we want to make sure we thoroughly wash and dry the outside of the fender where the fender flare is going to be sticking to. We don't want to have any dirt or debris between the fender flare and the fender. Next, what we're going to do is turn our attention to the inside of the wheel well. Now, when we start at the front, we're going to notice we've got a couple of factory screws that are holding this plastic trim in place right here. We are not going to do anything with this one, but this one is going to come out. Along with, if we come up, there's one more factory screw that's right up in here. It's the same size. We're going to use a 7mm socket to pull those 2 out. Now we're going to retain these and use them for reinstalling our fender flare. All right, then when we come around to the other side of the fender, we're going to see we've got 2 more back here. We're going to go ahead and take those 2 out using 7mm as well. We're also retaining these for reinstallation. Okay, now if you have a 2024 and up F-150 that does not have factory holes that our bracket can attach to, we're going to be using the tape-on bracket. We're using 3M automotive grade tape, and I've already gone ahead and put on our template. So we've got a passenger side template, we've got a driver's side template. I cut this out of the instruction sheet and I've got it set in place with some painter's tape. What that does is that tells me where I can start with my bracket. So I've got the piece coming all the way over to this line here, and this is where I start with the bracket. So that bracket is going to sit right here. So what I'm going to do real quick is I'm going to make a small mark on this end over here. So now I know how far over I need to clean. Next in your kit, you're going to have some isopropyl rubbing alcohol prep pads. I'm going to tear one out real quick. And we're going to wipe down that surface and bring it all the way to this mark right here. And we want to make sure we allow that alcohol to dry. So about a minute, about 60 seconds, it should be completely dry. Okay, now that our alcohol has completely dried on the surface of the paint, so this is our adhesive promoter, we're going to open up, we're going to slide that out, and then we're going to coat this surface right here with the adhesive promoter. All right, we want to let that sit for about 60 to 90 seconds to allow that to flash. Okay, now that our adhesive promoter has been given a moment to flash, what we're going to go ahead and do is peel back a little bit of the tape on both sides of this. So we're just going to grab the corners, peel it back just a little bit so that it comes out from the top side. All right, next we can go ahead and line it up and set it in place. What we're going to do is very gently set it in place first, because once this touches that adhesive promoter, it's going to want to grab immediately. All right, now that that's in place, we're going to go ahead and slowly peel this back. All right, and then we're going to go ahead and bear in on this and get good pressure on that. Okay, now that our fender is nice and prepped, what we're going to do is go ahead and lift that up to the factory location. So as you recall, we pulled out a factory fastener here. It's a screw here. I'm going to get those bolts started for right now. I'm not going to tighten them down. I just want to get them started. All right, now with the factory hardware lined up, I'm going to go ahead with each one of these locations. I'm going to use the pick tool and make sure that we're going to be lining up to the holes. So as we get these lined up, we need to bear into the flare and then insert the screw into the threaded hole and get that started on each one of these. This one's probably the most difficult to get lined up because you have to push in a little bit more to get that, that tightness to it. All right. And next, to make sure these are lined up. Okay, just so you know, I do have a flashlight shining into this area right here. That way it's going to help me look through here and line up those holes. So again, I have to kind of push in, use the longer screw, go through and get that lined up. All right, once you get that lined up initially, don't tighten it down all the way yet. Go ahead and move to the the other two fasteners that are inside that bracket. Go ahead and move to the last one. All right, now we've got all of the fasteners lined up. We're going to go ahead and tighten everything up. I'm going to start with the fasteners that are inside the bracket. Move over to this clip. And that's all being done with a Phillips head screwdriver. And lastly, we can go ahead and tighten up the factory fasteners using the 7mm. Now we can go ahead and move to the rear. All right, now we are here at the rear of the vehicle, rear wheel well. Again, I have gone ahead and cleaned this surface very thoroughly, make sure I get any kind of grime or debris off of the area that the flare is going to be resting up against. Also went ahead and cleaned off the inside lip on both sides of the edge of the fender as well. Next, I want to do at the front side of the fender well, I'm going to remove these two factory fasteners. They're a screw that comes out with a 7mm, just like we had at the front. All right, and we're going to retain those for reinstallation. Okay, now here on the back side of the fender, we're going to have a hole right back here that is from the factory. We've got a piece of plastic, and we've also got the piece of sheet metal behind it. What I'm going to do is take one of our U-shaped clips. The open hole needs to be facing towards the inside, and this portion right here, that's the threaded portion, needs to be facing that way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to slip that in between the plastic and the sheet metal. We're going to slide that in there, and then I'm going to take my pick tool and make sure that is nice and lined up with our hole. Now you'll also notice once we bring the flare over that there's a provision for another hole right here. On some applications there will be that hole. If you got that hole, go ahead and slide another clip nut in there and use that. But it's kind of redundant, so it's not really mandatory. So if you don't have a hole there, don't worry about having to drill out a hole. There's actually a hole in the sheet metal, so you'd only be drilling a hole in the plastic. If you want to do it, go for it, but you'll probably have to remove the tire in order to be able to get a drill bit in there, and it's just not really necessary. So I'm going to go ahead and grab the fender flare, hold that up in place, and we're going to attach hardware here and up in the front just to hold it in place so we can mark the next locations for our fasteners. Okay, now here is our flare. I've already got it prepped with the gasket material on there. So we're going to set it in place, and I'm temporarily going to attach it to this location and up here as well. But that's just so we can make the marks for other fasteners up along in here, and I'll show you how to do that in just a second. So I'm going to go ahead and take Phillips head screw and line it up to the hole. I'm just going to get that screw started. Don't need to tighten that down. And then all the way up to the front. Go ahead and find the factory holes using the factory fastener. All right, now with that all in place, what we're going to do is we're going to find 3 holes in the flare. So what we're going to do is take a Sharpie, reach up inside the with the Sharpie and make a mark. Now I can go ahead and pull the fasteners back out and pull the flare back away. Okay, now we've got the 3 locations that we've marked. You're probably going to have the best view of this one right here, so I'm going to go ahead and show you real detailed what we're doing here, and then we're going to repeat on the others. But again, just like on the front where we use the Mylar tabs, we're going to take that Mylar, peel it away. Then I like to get it nice and centered on that piece there, and then wrap it right around. And then take one of our Z-shaped clips. Make sure that the threaded end is facing out. And you want to try to get it nice and centered on that spot right there. Repeat the same on the other 2. All right, now let's go ahead and grab our flare, set it back into place, and loosely attach the 2 fasteners from the factory in the front and the 1 fastener in the back, and then we can line everything up on the other holes. Now, just like we did on the front, I'm leaving all this hardware loose for right now, so we can get everything, it's easier to line everything up here as long as this is still loose. But again, what I'm going to do, line up these holes, make sure that if that Mylar allows the clip to move around a little bit, make sure that it's centered using a pick tool. That's going to help us get everything lined up. All right, now we're going to go ahead and use the small screws, get these set in place and started. On all of these, you'll need to push in. They're designed so you have to kind of push in kind of tight. That's what keeps this nice and firmly secured to the side of the truck. All right, now that everything is lined up, we're going to go ahead and tighten down first these 3 fasteners. Then I'm going to tighten these with a 7mm and this with a Phillips head. So these 3 Phillips head first. And then 7mm on these. I like to bear in while I tighten. Okay guys, so this is the last fastener. I saved it for last because there's not a lot of room here. I want to show you how we're going to handle it. So we've got a Phillips head bit for a 1/4 inch driver and a 1/4 inch wrench. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the bit, fit into that screw, and then put it in by hand as far as it'll go. Once we have it as far as it will go, we go ahead and take the wrench and slide it over. And before we completely tighten it, go ahead and bear in. And then use the wrench to tighten it up. All right, now go ahead and repeat the same process on the opposite side. Okay, now that we have all 4 fender flares installed, we can go ahead and do our finishing touches. So we're going to inspect all of our edge trim. Now you'll notice this one little spot right here, the edge trim's kind of curled in between the flare and the trim. Sometimes that edge trim will get curled in between the sheet metal and the trim. So in your kit, you're going to have a trim tool. So this portion right here is designed for going between the flare and the edge trim, and I'm going to show you how you're going to want to run this. Best way I've done it is I'll use either soapy water. This is some quick detail spray, and I'm just going to kind of moisten this area and then also moisten the edge trim tool. And I'm going to take and fit it right up in between that edge and then run it up along. And what that does is that's going to pull that out and get it nice and flush with the edge. If I needed to go on the other side, this hook portion does the other portion, the other side, between the edge trim and the sheet metal. And then that's just going to kind of glide the same way, and that will help to seat that edge trim. Then, of course, once you're done, just go ahead and wipe that down, and you're good to go. Repeat that on any place where the edge trim is curled under. Well, it's just that simple, and that concludes the installation.